All right. We're pushing to both Twitch and the YouTube feeds now.
All right.
It seems that we have a audience member that has requested to speak.
Oh, is B-Par going to join us today? Okay, we'll pull him up.
Possibly, yeah.
All right. We'll pull him up.
Oh, did he change his mind?
He might have. Alrighty. Cool stuff. So I guess today is our first Lorecast episode.
Yes.
Indeed.
Which is going to be fun.
We're very excited.
This is one that people have been looking forward to, actually.
I sound entirely unenthused. I am very enthused. I'm just working on making sure we're going to YouTube and Twitch.
Yep, those... You can set this stuff up and be like, hey, it's good to go, and then it goes, guess what? Wrong.
Guess what? It's not.
We lied.
I lied. All right. Well, welcome to everybody that's come and joined us so far. I see we have 5 viewers on Twitch and 0 viewers on YouTube. To anybody that doesn't know, we're now streaming this on YouTube and Twitch concurrently, so you can watch on both, you can watch on neither. You also, if you decide you want to, can watch the VODs on YouTube, because they won't get deleted after all of 12 seconds.
Did you manage to get all of them
up? I got all the ones that I recovered after Twitch deleted the other ones, so...
Oh, okay. Well,
we lost the first episode, but we will have them from now on.
You know what? The first episode was the stumble episode anyway, so you know what? We're good.
Exactly. And there we go. Now we're flagged as live on our server. We'll wait for a couple more people to trickle in here if they want to.
If you gents don't mind, I'm doing a little bit of a sound check right quick.
Yep.
Okay, no, we're good. I just had the Twitch stream unmuted so I could hear myself and make sure that I'm not yelling. So
nobody's Odin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody is the God of Thunder.
We should be good then.
All right. Well, I think to start us off nice and easy here, we probably should go over who we are again. We've been doing that every stream. It's easy to do, quick to do. So I am Director Drex, one of the directors of Lifeboat Logistics, and these are my friends Icarus and Alt F Forward, as he's going by today. And then they can introduce themselves better than I can, so I'll let them have the floor.
Would you like to go to?
No, you get it this time, Icarus.
Oh, it's so special. Well, hello, I'm Icarus. I am the combat division lead. Usually we just run combat missions, both air, ground, anything you could imagine that requires a gun or a combat ship. That's what we do. And big things are, helping out other members. They need to go collect gear in bunkers, or if they're just moving cargo around, or want someone watching their back. That's what we're here for. And I will toss the microphone to Alt F Forward.
All right. Well, once again, I am 10 Forward. Although today I'm Alt F Forward. Comes from a lovely inside joke, but I am our Science and Exploration Division lead. Although at the moment our main focus is sort of medical gameplay, which, funny enough, kind of plays into today's Lorecast. But for the moment, we're waiting on big stuff to come for the game. We're mainly focusing on medical gameplay and just supporting our other divisions. Pretty simple.
Alrighty.
All right.
So I think I'm going to hop us right in here to a little bit of news for our next stream and our upcoming streams. Since now we're doing a fun little chat window and all that cool fun stuff, we're going to open a contest for those of you guys watching and those of you guys in the group. For every week, whatever the best screenshot we get from the group is, we'll use it as the background for our stream. If we're in game for that given week, we will show off what our favorite screenshot of the group is, and we'll go from there. So, for example, the screenshot I'm using now is one that I took in game. Might have been a year ago, but if you guys have your own posts, feel free to show them to us, and you may get on the stream, or you may get at least featured if we're doing an in-game episode.
So submit those screenshots. Go take pretty pictures.
Yes, take pretty pictures.
Show us what you got.
If you have questions, I have an entire guide on how to do Star Citizen in-game photography.
Yes.
That is fantastic.
I can confirm it is fantastic. It is. My pictures have been so much better since you sent me that. It's awesome.
So yeah, feel free to get some screenshots, get us some pictures sent in. And like Drex said, you might be featured on a stream to some degree.
Ooh.
Yeah. If we're in game,
You have to be
obviously. If we're in game, obviously, you'll get shown on the stream. We'll use you as the thumbnail. I think that probably is the best way to go about it. But you will obviously not be the whole screen, because if we're in game playing game, you probably want to see you play game.
What? Nah.
Crazy concept.
It's
Entirely
impossible.
wild.
Why would you think such things, Drex?
Crazy things. Absolutely wild things.
This is what happens when the power goes to your head.
Yes. Trust me, I'm power tripping. It's great. I'm just like... I'm mega minding. All right. So to start off here, because we normally do like our weekly Star Citizen news, so I'm just gonna look through and see if we've got anything huge. I don't think we've gotten anything huge since. We got a follow.
Oh,
Thank you, Bpar, for following.
Hey.
Yeah, I think it's been a pretty light week as far as news and information goes. Nothing crazy.
I do think next week things are going to start picking up.
I think our biggest thing this week is the In Case You Missed It sale. So give me one second, and I'll pull up that webpage so we can talk about that a little bit, and then we'll keep going. If the stream freaks the heck out when I hit this button, let me know. It didn't freak out.
The nuke button. You hit the nuke.
No, we're all still here. In fact, our little oh, there we go. Yeah.
Oh.
So
would you look at
that? We're back to the
you guys missed it.
website. So in case you missed it, CIG is selling every ship from this year out to the people. And then you can scroll through here. There's a bunch of war bonds as options. I don't think there's any packs, just war bonds. F8C Lightning, that was a big one.
Yep.
It's back again.
I do believe, and I was going to say, the event badge may be required, but you might find some giving people in the servers that are holding on to those cards still. So if you really want one, just ask around.
I know for a fact in our server we have multiple people that are holding on to those cards. So if you're part of our glorious community, ask around.
Also, please, if you are going to ask for one, actually plan on buying one, because it's a one-time use.
Yeah.
I think as far as in case you missed it, the biggest things to really look at will be the Arastra. You know,
the Ara.
I'm trying to say. Yeah, the Ara. There you go, that one. That was actually it's a concept ship that came out right, when this what happened this year? IAE? Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. So it's still a relatively new thing, but that's one of the bigger ticket items, as well as the Santok Yai, which is in game now. For those of you who love Xenocraft.
Oh, let me
of course and then of course the F8C, the big only people who spend a lot of money will ever get this ship. Oh wait, just kidding.
Oh wait, you don't get it.
The other concept ships that are the Zeus was. I still think that's one of the best grabs. I still think that's one of the best ones that they've done.
It is one of the best grabs. I'm gonna show it off here quick.
As LBL's self-proclaimed lore master, which I'm not, but I'm gonna say it. The concept of the Zeus Mark II, it being a legacy ship, is so fantastic. As soon as it hit the store originally, I went ahead and snatched all 3 of them. And don't forget, there is a 4th variant in the works that we've been teased but not actually seen yet. So
yes, we have no idea, no information, but we know something is there. And in theory, it's racing, maybe.
Yeah. Although I don't know, Zeus seems a little big for that. Although I don't know, that could be a topic for another day to really get into.
Another good mention with the Zeuses is if you don't know about the Zeus, but you've also wanted to test out the the C1, the A1. Those are the loaners for these, so you can kind of get best of both worlds here for a little bit.
Yes, and then of course, once the E1's in game, you'll get that as a loaner for one of them as well. So if you have the 3-pack, you've got a chance to temporarily have all 3 spirits, which why not?
Yeah, right.
Especially
they are good ships.
At the low cost of these ships, they're not very expensive, like considering the prices of stuff.
This is the time to grab them because I mean, I know $150 is a lot for a ship, regardless. But man, to me, that's a steal. That's a steal already, if you ask me.
If you've already put 1,000+ into the game, like most of us have,
who would do that?
That's not crazy.
Yeah.
Although you happen to be over the whole sea, the amount of people I've seen who have shelved their whole sea until it gets fixed is insane.
So I did want to say a quick thing about it. I got to try somebody else's in the PTU. What would it have been, like 2 days ago after they did the fix that they said they were doing, where like it can actually undock.
Mm-hmm.
And admittedly, if you were still thinking like maybe Hull C, maybe not, it might be a good time to pick it back up because it might actually be a time where you can use it. So
it's getting the fix that was promised of it, pretty much.
Yeah, it is going to be usable. I don't know if it's like going to be the greatest cargo ship in the world once it becomes usable, but flying garbage is no longer the title I'll give it.
Yeah, it was not in a good spot.
No.
No, this ship sale though is pretty good. There's a lot of good ships here. Like I know people keep saying, we didn't get that many ships last year. I think we got quite a few, and more than half of them are great.
I think the reason a lot of people. Oh, go ahead, Dirk.
Oh, sorry, I was saying no. I'll be honest. I have been saying that there's not a lot of ships, but like you should be able to see it on the screen up there. It says a 10 of 24. So we did better than I expected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we also got the storms and the one of the links this year, I believe, too. Yeah, the links was this year. The SRV. I think the reason a lot of people have that mentality of we didn't get a lot of ships this year is because we kind of got them all in the same like little span of time instead of getting a few every month or so.
And a lot of them are variants.
Yeah, there were a lot of variants. Is what I'm noticing as well.
Like the cutter, getting its 2 or 3 variants.
Yeah.
If you cut the back open and stand it upright, it's a trash can.
Pretty much. There you go.
And that's coming from that's coming from a Drake lover. You're not wrong. But getting 3 spirit variants. Yeah, right. Getting 3 spirit variants. The spirits. The 3 Zeus variants. The cutter variant. Yeah. It makes sense that a lot of them were just variants of other ships, but as you were saying, in total, an additional 24 ship/ground vehicles were either added to the game or slated for release in the game.
Which is crazy.
And there was a lot of concept ships as well that we saw during Citizen Con that are to be added and very soon.
Oh man, well the fact that there's still some of those like teases that we've got no idea about. That's still the only information we have is the little shadowed figure that's left us to debate and speculate. That
we're gonna spectate.
I'm excited. Yeah, we're spectating.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what the next year holds in terms of like vehicle releases.
It's gonna be good, I think.
I want my Zeus.
So to wrap up on the... Oops, sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
To wrap up on the In Case You Missed It sale, these things will be available, or these ships will be available until the 29th, which means you have approximately 9 days from the point we recorded this to get your hands on any of these ships you've missed. I think we'll end it off by each of us saying what we think the best grab, or like the thing that they would recommend grabbing at the end of the sale is, and then we'll move on to the lore. So I'll start off. I think of the ships value-wise, the Arastra is definitely the ship that you want to keep an eye on if you're looking at a ship for this new sale. I think it's gonna be the longest before it goes into the sale again. I know we're seeing in chat C1. I think it's a good option, but it is much more regular to be in the store than the Arastra.
Fair.
I'll jump in with my opinion, and I agree with Drex here. I think the Arastra is probably one of the biggest ticket items, just because it's still concept, but the $575 price tag for what it's slated to do, that's a pretty good deal. And you probably won't see it back in the store for a hot minute, at least until they get it, going into gray box or special events. So if you want it and you like it, grab it. In case you missed it, this is your chance.
That is your option.
Yes. And I'm gonna have to agree with you guys there on that one too, but my counter offer to that, I think the Zeuses are worth grabbing. I really do. I think they're going to be good ships. I think they're going to be good small multi-crew ships as well. And for what they pack, I mean, you have every variant, even right now, with a secret one that you could possibly want. So, and they give you a ship right now that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let me throw a little caveat to mine. RSI in general. The RSI ships in general, because we know they're going to get they're the next up to be given solid once-overs and to be gotten out pretty quickly, because they want RSI ships to be in-game fast. So those are probably... those are a good bet.
I mean, look at it. They're beautiful.
It looks pretty good.
Gorgeous.
All right, so I'm going to try and minimize the stream, or the Chrome window without everything exploding, and we'll just see what happens. Hey, it worked. We're back.
Look at that.
All right, 10 forward. I think it's time for you to start talking about that lore everybody's been waiting for. So
we think it's time. 20 minutes in. Are you sure?
We think it's time.
I think you either wait till 7:59.
Yeah, start.
Let it simmer.
Just give him 1 minute.
Yeah, he has 1 minute to talk about it.
Hey, I'd figure out a way. All right, well, I suppose I will jump in the seat of host, at least for a bit. But obviously, I don't want to be the only one talking, so feel free to jump in and discuss and have some fun with this one. But today, for the first episode of LBL, the Lorecast, we're going to be discussing Regeneration, which, as I jokingly said earlier, is something that every Star Citizen player is familiar with, and a lot of us are very familiar with it. Because, is there a problem?
Everyone explodes.
You got a problem, just backspace. Problem solved. So plus a lot of people seem to want to hear about it, and I figure, well, it's a good starting point, so why not? First and foremost, it exists for the game. It's a game mechanic. That's its whole initial reason for existing was so that you could respawn in game. Naturally, they had to put some lore to it because plenty of people like myself see stuff like that and think, but why? Which is always good. But for as far as in-game goes, we'll start with a little history, I suppose. It all starts with a guy named Dr. Aka Ibrahim. Guy's a neurologist and neuroscientist. Pretty accomplished as well. And one of his big focuses was healing brain, I guess, injuries, helping people who've gone through traumatic head injuries with like memory and memory retention, stuff like that, as well as with aging. So if you can think of like Alzheimer's, stuff like that. You got this guy who's been working on it for a long time and who's relatively good at it. You know, pretty high, highly rated guy, being contacted by the UEE because they found something in a Vanduul ship that is basically a very it's a very sophisticated scanner, and they brought it to this guy to kind of understand it. And what it does is take a very detailed scan of the person, not only their body, and by detailed scan I mean down to the atom, the entirety of their body, but also their mind, their memories, and their personality, which is, it's crazy to think it's not just like an MRI or a CT scan or something. This thing literally picks up all that.
Okay, so that's actually far more in depth than I thought here. And man, now I'm just thinking, this game is just 3D printing people.
Well, and that's the fun thing, because this little device just scans. It doesn't actually get to how they make a new person, and you're not far off from what happens.
I'm not sure if I should be happy about that or concerned.
It's good stuff though. Funny when you really sit back and think about it. Just 3D printing people.
That is a very weird way of saying it.
I mean, we're not far off from it today, because we have plenty of lab-grown and basically bio 3D printed organs that are still trying to make their way through, the tests and the qualifications and stuff, to the point where we'll be able to, oh man, my liver's going out. Oh, well, we'll just 3D print you a new one.
We get in real life Star Citizen before Star Citizen's released.
Yeah, right. We're not too far off from that. Granted, this is an entirely different thing, because it's not just your body part; it's your personality and your memories. But through like reverse engineering this Vanduul tech, which may not even be Vanduul, they may have stolen it from someone else. But that's just where the UEE got it. He created something that he called the Ibrahim Sphere, which, of course, named it after himself, naturally. But the Ibrahim Sphere is what is the final product that actually does all the scanning and all the, like, I guess, quote-unquote data storage. Although it's weird, because like they use one of my favorite sci-fi tropes, that it's a link to the person due to quantum entanglement, and they don't know how that works, because it's kind of the easy answer. But I love it nonetheless. So they have this, and this guy had already kind of done some bootleg style regeneration stuff, where he's detailed scans of someone's brain before they were in an accident or something, and was able to go in and manually repair a lot of stuff using those old scans. But it was just pictures of the physical layout. It wasn't actually like repairing the memories and stuff. So this was a massive leap in being able to also catalog those. And you got that guy and his work with the UEE scanning, and then you have a company called Bioticorp, which they had their thing. They called it Project Calliope, and the whole point of it was kind of what we were talking about earlier, like 3D printing organs and stuff. They had this whole thing about wanting to be able to quickly make replacement body parts for people. Kind of like an alternative to oh god, what's the word I'm thinking of? A prosthesis. Kind of like an alternate to that, where you have some issue where you lose your arm from the elbow down. Well, hey, we can 3D print you a new one, kind of deal.
So it's the equivalent of nowadays some people can lose a finger, a limb, and they ask you try to preserve it. They can really just take your DNA and they pop you out a new one.
Pretty much, yeah. And they got to the point with Project Calliope where they could essentially, quote unquote, 3D print an entire body using, in game with the med guns, that green gel that you have in the vials. That's one of the things that Bioticorp made. That's the stuff that they kind of use.
Okay.
When I say like 3D printing the body, it's sort of like a resin printer. Instead of like an FDM where it's laying down lines of stuff, it's a vat that they can program in genetic code to form into whatever it is.
Okay.
And because they're working with the UEE government as well, because you're fighting a war against the Van Duel, you're going to need a lot of replacement body parts.
Yeah.
But you've also got this guy who can fully map out a person's mind and memories. Why not put them together,
Yeah.
That's the history and what leads up to regeneration as we know it being a thing. So basically, you get detailed scans of your body and your mind. They get stored in the Ibrahim sphere, and then you get an entire body, quote unquote, 3D printed, using those scans to replicate exactly like your entire physiological makeup at the time. Which, another fun thing, those scans auto update in real time through the quantum entanglement stuff.
I was gonna ask, how does that work? Because if I don't know, if I went out and learned how to let's just say fish, because that's an easy thing, it's a video game thing. If I went out and learned how to fish in one of the lakes on Microtech, and some random person came and shot me in the back of the head, technically the new me would still remember how to fish?
Yeah, because through the unknown quantum entanglement thing, that scan auto updates.
That's interesting.
It is. It's a good thing and it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
As far as it being a good thing, it's great because like you were saying, Drex, you can still live your life and learn and grow as a person. But if you need to regenerate, you don't lose that, at least not initially. You maintain that. But there are things called traumatic response echoes, or a lot of times they'll just abbreviate it as an echo, where, say, you did get into an accident that resulted in your death, but it was an immediate death and you suffered some pretty major physical trauma before you died. Well, that got auto-updated to that scan. So when you come back in when you're regenerated, you won't regenerate necessarily with those injuries, not all the time, but there will be some effect to you, whether it be on your psyche, and people being regenerated with severe PTSD just because to them they just experienced a horrific death, so that's going to mess with that. But also it can cause the imprint, the scan, to have errors to it, which is where you get the
Gotcha.
concept of the concept of an imprint viability score that determines how many times a person can be regenerated, which isn't infinite. This isn't like as far as in game goes, obviously it's going to be infinite, but IRL, I guess, as far as you can
IRL,
say
exactly.
IRL. You're limited, and you're limited by the viability score, which is affected by how you died previously, the last time you scanned. Because while these imprints do auto update in real time, it's not as effective as, say, going weekly and getting rescanned. So if you have access to that and you can do that, which the current Imperator, Leilani Addison, who's currently over the UEE, when she got into power, decided, nah, everybody gets this, and so made it publicly available and affordable. And while on the surface, Star Citizen is a lovely capitalist paradise of if you work, you will have what you want, it's also ran by the United Empire of Earth, which maybe isn't an empire anymore, but there's still those large groups of people at the top who have infinite money and do nothing. So they have access to the absolute best. So they could go weekly and get rescanned in these things, and they won't live forever, because if you get to 120, which people within Star Citizen regularly live way past 100 because great healthcare.
Well, yeah, if you can reprint, like, oh, my liver's going, here's a new liver. Okay, well, there's another 15 years.
Exactly.
So the more they regenerate, basically the samples get worse condition over time.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. But as far as how much they degrade and how quickly depends on the scenario of how they may have died in the previous life, as well as the quality of regeneration they have access to. Because we all know Grimhex. We love Grimhex. It's not the same as if you were a wealthy person on Hurston and went to, Mariah Pure of Heart. It's a little different. So the Grimhex beds, yeah, they'll do the scan. They got you. They got all your information. That's cool. But you may get one or two regenerations before they start losing some pieces of you, and they're not, they can't really fix it. And so at that point, you get wiped. Where there's just not enough information left to bring you back. So you die. That's the end of it. That you're truly done. But
So
the nicer hospitals, not so much.
In that case, just talking about getting, I guess, wiped. A hospital like Grimhex and a hospital like, I'll use Oris in general as another alternative, because they seem, at least on the surface, like a pretty well put together hospital. Like another one would be, I forget what the one on Microtech is, but whatever. Do these hospitals communicate, or do they have to communicate with these imprints, or does the quantum sphere just deal with it?
The whole quantum entanglement just deals with it. Basically, if you get scanned if you get your imprint made and whatever Ibrahim sphere you had it done at gets destroyed, it just auto transfers itself to another one. It just works.
So you're essentially just putting all your information into the void, and anybody who can pull it out of the void correctly can use it.
Pretty much, with the one thing stopping. So, for instance, you can't just use it to clone infinite amounts of people. Okay. It's a 1-to-1. So if you want to regenerate that person, they have to have died. So whoever can pull it out properly can regenerate you, but you have to be dead for that to happen. The connection has to be severed, which I can understand, because we're not trying to go, we don't need 100,000 people with more than 1 million on the way, kind of deal.
Yeah.
But it's one of those lovely things about Star Citizen where you'll have something simple that gets an unimaginable amount of lore and just this unimaginably deep, let's say wiki article or something on the actual spectrum where it just covers so much of it. But then you get regeneration, one of the most important things in the game, and they're like, oh yeah, it's just quantum stuff, it just works. And it's like,
just
okay,
makes sense.
Yeah, it just does.
Just exists.
It's a thing.
Yeah,
it's right there.
Plug yourself into a computer and it'll throw your information to the void, and then you're done. You just walk away and the void will remember it.
The void does remember.
The void remembers.
The void always remembers.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
That's kind of the gist of it, though. There's a lot more to discuss with it, but as far as the basic stuff, one guy who really likes looking at brains got a really, really good HP scanner printer, and met up with another guy who does really sick 3D prints, and they came together and made a person. And that person's memories are in the void, and the void sometimes smiles back and gives you those memories when you come back to life.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
It's crazy to think about, because I think it's one thing that we take for granted, which, not that there's this immense weight for us to think about here. It's a video game. But I think we take for granted in the video game that, like I said earlier, just, oh man, it's a problem, just backspace. In the context of the universe, you're dying and you're being regenerated. You're having all your memories and everything downloaded into a new body that will also remember the trauma of your past life and whatever killed you. And you may only be able to do that once or twice.
Yeah, you died.
Yeah. It's not as simple as just respawning the game. You died. The ultimate ending for everything that's alive. You died. You're back, but you still experience the death.
Yeah, you still have to live with that.
I can only imagine what that does psychologically, remembering how you died, how it felt, and especially over and over.
Oh yeah.
Holy crap.
I mean, that's where you get the traumatic response echoes. Is it weighs on your mind, and it happens multiple times. Eventually, your imprint, even a fresh imprint, it's so scarred just to the point of beyond use, because the human mind just can't understand all those pieces, and you're just done. Also, to answer a question in chat, Swerve, isn't Regeneration stolen Vandal tech? I did mention that earlier. It's stolen Vandal tech, but it also doesn't make sense for the Vandal to have it. So a leading theory is that they stole it first, and then we took it from them. But yeah, that's where the UEE got it, was from the Vandal, which is also scary to think about because they're, that's totally fair. They're like one of the leading like enemies of the UEE right now. So imagine fighting an enemy force that you kill one. Well, he's back in 5 minutes, and he remembers that you killed him, and he remembers how. So now he can avoid that.
He knows your face.
Exactly. And then put that on a massive scale, which would make sense as to why Valkyrie's right. They're Tyranids, but also look at it as you've got the UEE, which is technologically advanced, like far surpassing the Vandal. Still, it is an uphill battle because of the sheer number of Vandal they have, which is probably because of the regeneration tech and that they can just bring back their dead warriors.
That's a scary thought, because depending how advanced theirs is compared to ours, like I don't know what the actual. I mean, maybe you could actually answer this. Do we know how long regeneration actually takes, quote unquote, or
is it funny enough? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, funny enough, in reading through stuff, I've never really seen a time frame for how long it takes to regenerate a person, which I would guess it's still a decent amount of time, because this is still relatively new. This wasn't even put into use. I mean, they didn't actually get it to fully work until 2949, so a couple years ago in universe lore. So it's still an incredibly new thing.
That's actually incredibly interesting then, considering how new it is, because, obviously in game, you die, they want to bring you back in, but I wonder in, lore time, how long you actually...
Yeah, do you just wake up?
Right.
Like, in our game sense, you shot, you hit the ground, and by the time your body's stopped falling, you can be back in a hospital, like, snapping your fingers.
Right.
I mean, in the other sense of things, though, like, obviously, I'm thinking, okay, you die, it takes a while. Coma, you don't know when you're going to wake up. This, giving you a certain amount of time, it's got to still screw with you of, oh, you've been out for, a week or, 2 weeks. That's still gonna throw you around a bit.
Yeah, it's not fun. I would imagine it's something akin, depending on how long it takes, which I'm just rereading some stuff here. I'm reading the actual article from RSI about it. So I'm straight to the source. I can't be no one can say, "Hey, you're wrong." I'm literally reading from what they say. Just trying to find any information about how long, but I don't really get any of that.
I would say I'm also trying to take a look, and I'm not catching I'm not catching it. It looks like death has been talked about in a game sense much more than it's been talked about in a lore sense, which is understandable.
Fair.
Yeah. Which I also know, well, I don't want to say I know. I've heard or read, and I would like to hope that eventually it will become more restrictive, because no one wants to play a game where you spend to be honest, you spend money on all this stuff, you die, you get 3 lives, and then all of a sudden you just can't play anymore. Like, that's not fun.
Your character's gone.
But right.
That would be something.
It'd be terrible. But also, right now, the ability to have infinite regeneration with 0 negative effects is... I mean, it's one of those things, it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's just, the feature's weird. Because obviously we all use it for its unintended purpose. Once again, back to one of the original things I said, just backspace. It's easy. Yep. Nothing bad.
Solves problems.
So,
Yeah.
I would like to see it become bad in some way. Maybe maybe too many regenerations and you start like seeing the echoes where your character is introduced with kind of a not like a permanent debuff, but sort of they come up with like an in-lore way to mitigate those echoes after regeneration. Like you come back in and well, your character's got a bad leg because in your last life, a whole A decided to fall on him. So he's got a bad leg, but we can do some stuff to change that later. You know what I mean?
Or if he was
Those
shot in the
echoes,
arm, like he has a jitter, maybe.
so those echoes could be interesting because if you add a psychological aspect to it, like, could you imagine? Okay, they add all the different pirate gangs. You run into the same leader that killed you, and all of a sudden, your heart rate spikes. You can't sprint as fast, and like your aim is off because you're literally panicking of, oh god, this guy killed me.
Right. Yeah. I would love to see those echoes be part of the game. Not in a way that makes it unfun and makes it so you just don't want to play anymore. But dying should have some form of consequence.
Yeah, beyond just losing what you're carrying.
I saw something they mentioned a while back where, you could die however many times they're planning, and then you can no longer regenerate, but you're a descendant of yourself. I don't know if they're sticking with that or if they've changed it, but there's a lot of different ways they could go with it.
I have heard the next of kin thing. The next of kin thing makes sense.
It does. Or maybe not like a next of kin, but maybe sort of a they have all your genetic material and you're dead, so you can't be regenerated, but you can kind of be cloned. It won't have your memories or nothing. It'll be an entirely new person, and it'll have to grow from, say, an embryo to a human, but you're kind of back.
It would reset specific skill progress, but like communications with AI may not be different. Like, I think that could be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting about skill progression because, if you're not retaining the memories and all that, that would make, dying multiple times actually have a penalty, but that also gives replay if you're not, 100% safe in all your stats, like you have to retrain, that adds some gameplay to it.
Oh, 100%. Also want to just divert one more time to the chat. I remember I gotta get swerving here on one of these episodes, but made a good point about regenerate after a limb is lost and your imprint has a prosthetic that doesn't perform as good as your natural limb. And in lore, that's kind of what ends up happening in some cases. If you, before you die, you lose an arm, and that creates a big enough echo that when you regenerate, you just don't have an arm. It just never grows because it lost that ability. Well, now you get a prosthetic, but like you said, it's not as good as the natural arm you had. So there's a slight debuff because of that specific event, and that's how it's
or whatever.
Yeah, and that's how it's portrayed in lore. And I would really love to see that carry over to gameplay. And whether they will, I don't know.
I know it's a scary thing to move over as well because even the food water thing I know turns people away from the game. It's not super bad. Like, I've never had it drop down, so I don't actually know what happens. But it can get to an extent of if you have to micromanage everything, and especially at the pace the game could set for it, it can become, you're fighting yourself versus, fighting your actual objective.
When it became easier in the last couple patches, I think when it first came in, you couldn't actually like eat food or drink and like carry them with you. Like, there was no backpack system. So like that especially turned a lot of people away. I know myself, I was so upset that I couldn't, take the drinks with me and like, oh, I'm out on a moon somewhere. I need a glass of water. Well, shit, I can't use the 7 sinks that are on my ship for that. I have to go back to a station, eat a burrito.
Yeah, because my burrito hydrates me.
Yeah, right?
Right. I don't want the game to get to a point where you do have to micromanage everything like that. Although I know it's supposed to be, it's a simulator. At its core, right now, Star Citizen is a simulator. Obviously, Squadron 42 will be an entirely different beast, but it's a sim. You have to manage your hydration and your food intake.
Yeah.
I don't want to see too much more than that. Because at some point, like you said, you start to fight against yourself. Because, all right, I need to make sure I eat, make sure I drink. I have to make sure my character gets enough sleep day to day. Because let's be honest, that our characters wouldn't sleep if we didn't wake up in a bed after we logged out. Like,
Yeah.
just be honest. Yeah. I don't want to have to manage that. The medical side, I'm a little more lenient when it comes to like managing, just because I'm interested in seeing more consequences for actions. But I also don't like. I would hate for it to get to a point where it's like, oh, okay, your character has a headache, now you have to go back to a space station and get medication for that, or you have a cough now, you kind of thing. Not to that point, but you messed up bad in your last life. Well, guess what, buddy? Heart disease now because your regeneration didn't work out because of whatever happened.
I think I'm 50-50 on a cough. Because you said, what about a cough? I think that could be really interesting to pick up a virus from who knows where, and that's just something your character has to like carry around with them.
Well, and then throw medical gameplay in there as well of, if you get actual knowledge on this, you can help treat it.
That, in that sense, yes. I'm in agreement there. I was more so meaning like just the game just randomly picks an effect to hit you with, and it's like, okay, deal with it.
Yeah,
but like if you were, if you're say like doing like exploration of an uncharted moon, and for some reason you decide, hey, no helmet today, and it has breathable atmosphere, cool, that's great. But you also just picked up, super tuberculosis because of that. That would be interesting. Because once again, it gives your actions genuine consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and I think the idea of popping a Benadryl every 8 hours of my character's life is not super appealing. But like, if I've got some crazy space thing that's a mini game to get rid of, that would be cool.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to put in the work, but it's not like you said. Take 2 capsules every 6 to 8 hours. It's not that level.
I don't want to have to give my character a puffer.
Right. But there's still consequences, and there still has to be an effort put forward. I would like to see that, and I'm pretty confident we will eventually. But I don't think that's on the priority list right now, especially with all of the other stuff going on.
Well, I know hygiene's also in the list too.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Which makes sense because any ship that's not like a light fighter has some form of shower or bathroom or something, and I mean that's fair. If you're a hand miner, and your character doesn't shower for a month and a half, well, that's probably going to have some negative health effects.
Well, and NPCs don't want to talk to you if you're stinky.
Yeah,
sorry,
exactly.
gamers who actually got a shower.
I know it's hell for y'all, but listen, at least 3 times a week.
I think the micromanaging needs to be I don't know how to say it. I think it needs to be offset by what we have on our ships. I don't think there should be anything we can't micromanage on a capital ship, and like that's a bit of a step. I think maybe like a Carrick should be able to micromanage everything a person needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could imagine. Plus, given its role with an exploration ship, it's got medical facilities, it's got crew quarters, it's got lounge areas, it's got not like a kitchen like an 890 has, but it definitely has like a food preparation area. Like that should be able to handle it pretty well.
Yeah, it's got a food processing unit because I believe that's standardized now.
Yeah, which will be fun when those are usable. Like when that when you can just make your food and stuff on your ship.
But that would also give value. That would give value to the ships as well, which I think is important.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Like for instance, Godrix.
I was saying because, for example, right now, there is no reason to pick a 300 series over an Avenger. But once things like hygiene come into play, I think the Avenger's got a toilet. I can't be sure, but it's not got like food processing space. You have no counter. But on the 300 series, you have space for a slow cooker. You have a fridge. Like you have a nice sink. You could prep a basic food with no issue.
It'll make sense. And then of course when you look at things like when the Kraken does get in game, when the Idris does get in game for players, that should be pretty self-sufficient. It should have, like, granted, they won't have like medical facilities such as like the Carrick does, but it should have everything you need to be self-sufficient for the most part. You should rarely need to go to a space station to, gotta grab some cruise lux and gotta grab a shower at the station like you're a trucker or something. You can be self-sufficient within those larger ships, and I think that once that becomes real, that'll definitely be a drive for it.
I think the other thing with these larger ships, just harkening back to that Idris video we saw the other day as we get close to wrapping up, there are lots of spaces on that ship that seem like they're great for somebody to just lean or place an item on. Like if you're the maintenance guy and you're walking around, sure, like maybe twice a day you'll have to go back to the not the med station, back to the mess hall and get whatever. But I get the vibe that CIG wants us to be able to like pocket a bottle of Gatorade and just walk around.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of that, Icarus, later on we'll have to call where I pulled managed to get my grubby little fingers on the Idris interior files. We can do a walkthrough of it.
Oh.
But no, I definitely think that's the route CIG is going with it. And I'm excited to see what that brings for just day-to-day play, as well as on the medical side. And I guess to wrap it back around to the original topic, how that's going to change the way that regeneration works in game, how far they're going to take it. I don't even want to speculate at the for the end goal, because who knows where they're going to go with it? Who knows where they're at with it?
It has so many different routes it could go. It's actually kind of crazy. It's such a tangible thing that they have, and it's such. I mean, let's be real. You die, you respawn, and that's kind of it. But they can do so much with that. It can add a lot. It can change a lot.
Especially with the lore. Oh, go ahead.
I would say we also have multiple alien races that have their own form of this technology that we don't know how or what they're doing with it.
True. I mean, we see the Vandal stuff with like where we got the regeneration to start with, but that's still, we don't really know a lot about the Vandals still, other than, man, they really angry.
And like, what do the Xi'an use, or what do the Banu use?
Right. Yeah. Like, there's so many avenues they can go, and I think I made a joke about it earlier, where some of the most simple stuff can have the deepest lore, while some of the most important things get a footnote. It's funny to joke about that, but I think that was the best move, because they're not locked in on a lot of things. They have so much room to grow when they're ready.
Yeah, I'm glad we only have the human idea of how this works, because I think getting an alien idea would be like dangerous to lock in stone at this point, but also like just really hard to wrap your head around because you're not responding the way an alien responds.
Right.
Exactly.
And even the our current understanding, both in 2023 and 2953, is still really limited to even how it works for humans. So why try and imagine that for multiple other species?
Yeah, of course.
At least now. I definitely see it changing as time goes on, but right now, I've said it before. I'll say it now, and I'll continue saying it. I think CIG needs to build with what lore they have currently before they start throwing more at us. Because, oh my god, do they have lore?
They have a ton.
They got the building blocks. They just gotta start stacking them.
Exactly.
For the Luminali event, when I was trying to decode that message, I stumbled upon, what was it, a 200-page document officially from CIG detailing how to read, write, and speak the Banu language.
I was saying, was it Banu or
Oh my
Xi'an?
god.
I thought it was Banu.
Okay,
I
I
might be
wasn't
wrong.
sure.
I'll have to look at it again. But it's an official document from CIG. It's like 200 pages long that goes over the entirety of the language, how to fully read, write, and speak it.
Yeah, regardless, you can linguistically pick up a language that doesn't exist.
The fact they have a 200-page document on a fake language is insane, but I love it.
That's Tolkien-esque, lore building right there.
Mm-hmm.
Let us see more of that. It's already there. Let us see it.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we've hit 8:03 now, which means it's time for us to wrap up. I'm gonna quickly go back over what we went over at the start. That we are going to be taking on screenshots from our community for our backgrounds for these streams that are like talk episodes. Obviously, if it is not a talk episode, we will feature the screenshot, but you probably want to see the game as opposed to just someone's picture. But for talk episodes, we'll definitely be taking on nice screenshots. So just put them in the LBL screenshots channel, and we'll dig through there at the end of every week to make sure we have something that looks good for us to pull out of the hat.
And if you're not already in LBL, jump in, throw us some pictures as well. Obviously, the link is down in our description to get you to our Discord. Come join us. We're a bunch of weirdos, but it's a good time.
And we do want to see you. All of us started this game, on our own. Joining a community adds a whole new layer, and there's so much to do and so many cool ships to explore and see that you could only do with a crew. It's worth it.
100%. I also just want to say, obviously these Lorecast episodes won't be every episode, but there is a lot to talk about. Those of you watching, feel free to throw some ideas for what you want to see next time. I can talk. I know personally, like I said earlier, to Drex and Icarus, I can talk about anything forever. So keep me from doing that. Throw some ideas. What do you guys want to see? What are you most interested in? Because there's a lot out there. And take a good one, and we'll do our next Lorecast on it in the future.
Yep, and to piggyback on that a little bit, we do have a suggestion box on our Discord. We until now have been using it just for server suggestions, but if you guys have suggestions of topics, please throw in a suggestion. If you have links to the stuff we can look at for these topics, I know Swerve or Hairbeck, as you are in our stream chat, I know you have a lot of lore stuff, so if there's something you specifically want to talk about or want us to talk about with you, reach out. Anybody else can do the same. But we do want to hear, and that's probably the easiest way to do it. So just throw a suggestion ticket into LBL's ticket system.
And it's not just for lore stuff. Anything you may want us to talk about, any interesting thing, just throw us that suggestion.
Yes, exactly. Anything. Doesn't have to be lore. Just if it's Star Citizen and it would be good on the podcast, throw a suggestion in, and we'll talk to you guys as a team and see how we want to handle it, whether we want to bring you onto a stream or just bring it up. We can do either or.
It could be ships, weapons, hell, even planets or places you want to go see, or asking about starting points. Like, we can talk about anything. There's plenty to it.
The history of Cruise Lux.
Oh yeah.
A complete deep dive.
I wonder how long that article is.
Is it lemon? Is it lime? Is it both? Or is it done?
Alrighty, guys. Thank you for watching. Everybody, I hope you guys have a good week, and we'll see you again on next Saturday.